Saturday at 11 on WOUB.
Now at 6:30, Election Day is fast approaching, and so are opportunities to win over voters. How a key forum tonight could impact the race for Athens County Commissioner.
Plus, go ahead, get those preparations done today.
Tropical storm Helen continues to intensify in the Gulf of Mexico. The U.S. South prepares for a direct hit from the storm and how it could impact our area.
And in sports, Athens and Marietta meet in a high-stakes high school volleyball match. Newswatch starts right now.
For a key forum in the race for Athens County Commissioner. Good evening, I'm Ty Carpenter.
And I'm Lucy Schaefer. Welcome to Newswatch. Here's a live look at the event that just began at the Athens Community Center. Tonight's forum is between Commissioner Charlie Adkins and John Rose. Adkins is looking to keep his seat as a county commissioner. He was elected to the position in 2012.
Rose, on the other hand, is hoping to win his first position in public office. The paramedic from Gloucester says his experience is a reason he is running and says he wants to improve wages for all EMS workers. The winner will serve until 2029. As of today, this is the only meeting between Adkins and Rose. Tonight's forum is the first in a series of forums for the Athens County League of Women Voters will host this election cycle. The group is also hosting a forum for both candidates running for county treasurer next Thursday on October 3rd.
WOUB is your source for all Southeast Ohio elections, so be sure to stay connected on air and online for the latest from both these forums. Election Day may be only 41 days away, but the deadline to register to vote is fast approaching. Ohioans have until October 7th to register for the November election. Early voting in Ohio starts the next day.
You can register at your local Board of Elections office or on the Ohio Secretary of State's website. Those who would like to vote by mail have until October 29th to secure their absentee ballot. Republicans are suing over mail-in ballot policies in Mississippi, and the outcome of the case could have a big impact on mail-in ballots cast everywhere in the country.
This as former President Donald Trump is giving his supporters a mixed message on early voting. Julia Benbrook reports.
Mississippi allows officials to count ballots that arrive within 5 days after Election Day, as long as they're properly postmarked. The Republican National Committee and others are alleging this violates federal statute, and it resembles laws in roughly 20 other states and jurisdictions. So this case could have major implications on mail-in voting.
The other states that allow for late arriving ballots include Nevada, Ohio, and Virginia, as well as Maryland, the site of a competitive Senate race. California and New York also allow for post-election ballot receipt and could make a major difference in who controls the House. Former President Donald Trump has long railed against mail-in voting. In 2020, his attacks against the practice made it less popular among GOP voters. But at a recent rally, Trump gave a confusing message to his supporters.
We have to win Pennsylvania. Go out and make a plan to vote early, vote absentee. Now we have this stupid stuff where you can vote 45 days early.
Now, Mississippi is not the only state where this approach is being litigated, but by bringing a case against Mississippi, Republicans have navigated this to a friendly forum, more likely to give them a ruling that could help boost cases like this elsewhere. Now, the Department of Justice, Democrats, and others argue that this approach is not violating federal statute. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
Now, here's a look outside after a much-needed rainy day in Athens.
Southeast Ohio continues to experience a severe drought across the region. Forecaster Isabel Isco joins us now with more. Isabel, feels like we're finally getting some rain here. How's it looking elsewhere?
You know, we're finally getting that rain. Still not enough to get us out of that drought, unfortunately, but there is going to be a lot of rain happening all over the East Coast from this tropical storm that we've been seeing. So we're going to have some consistent rain, hopefully enough finally to get us a little bit into a dent with that drought throughout Southeast Ohio. You can see that our morning, we had a rainy morning out there. You needed that umbrella. Unfortunately, you're going to need that umbrella in your pocket all this week. We're having those spotty showers all throughout the day for us in Southeast Ohio, but currently 72 degrees, clear skies for now. We are going to be experiencing a little bit more of that rain later tonight. And currently there is a severe thunderstorm watch for parts of the Cincinnati area. We are not going to be seeing as intense rain and thunder as the Cincinnati area, but there is still a slight chance for some marginal thunderstorms, some high wind, and some slight chance of a tornado just for our area. You can see in those storm outlines, we are in that marginal storm risk. As we go a little bit more south, that is where they start getting into the slight thunderstorm risk, and that's whenever those conditions get a little bit more elevated. Those temperatures all throughout southeast Ohio, we barely made it into those high 70s today. Currently 72, Huntington 73. As we go a little bit more north, they're a little bit warmer, 75 in Newark. And as we head towards the Dayton area, they are getting that rain still currently that we'll be experiencing here soon. All throughout these past 24 hours, last night, we did not reach into those 50s, just a little bit into those low 60s. And then today it was a slow build into those high 70s, 78 in Athens for our high. Tonight I was talking about how we're going to be getting those showers. Once again, 80% chance of showers, that overnight low of 62. Those showers are going to continue rolling in as we get some residue from that tropical storm that we'll be experiencing later in the week. Wednesday, 70% chance of showers, a little bit warmer of those temperatures as we head into our weekend. That chance of storms starting to lessen, but once we reach the weekend, we're going to be getting a lot more rain. Still not enough to get us out of that drought, but I'll be talking about that in my full forecast. Let's take it back over to Lucy.
Thanks, Isabel. The Athens-Hocking Solid Waste District is seeking approval for its new 15-year plan from Athens City Council. The Athens-Hocking Solid Waste District says it looks to keep a healthy cash flow with no additional cost to residents. Director Jane Forrest Redfern says to do that, the district wants to adopt a new 222 plan. This change impacts the cost for all in-district, out-of-district, and out-of-state waste coming into local facilities. If approved, each tier costs $2 per ton. The district is also increasing its generation fees on any garbage leaving the district. The new plan increases the fee from $3 to $5 per ton.
It's through those generation fees that we are going to be able to have a budget and be able to move forward for the next 15 years.
Athens, Logan, Athens County, and Hocking County must all approve that new plan. If passed, the plan would go into effect January 1st.
Under court orders, the Nelsonville City Council voted unanimously yesterday to place an initiative on the ballot that would change the city's government. Now it's up to the Athens County Board of Elections to determine whether the initiative received enough signatures to qualify for the November election. The initiative would abolish the city charter and return Nelsonville to the government it had 30 years ago, when the city's administration was run by an elected mayor independent of the city council. Under the charter, the administration is run by a city manager who is hired and can be fired by the council. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost is supporting Kroger in the Federal Trade Commission's proceedings. Kroger sued the FTC in August over a filed complaint to block the Kroger-Albertsons merger. Yost argues the removal protections for the FTC violate the Constitution's separation of powers. He filed the amicus brief saying the company was subjected to an unconstitutional proceeding. Dave Yost is joined by 11 other state attorney generals in the amicus brief contending the arrangement is unconstitutional.
The latest data from the Consumer Product Safety Commission shows there have been over 500 deaths associated with commonly used nursery products. 76% of those deaths were linked with easy-to-find products while raising a child, like cribs or playpens. Dr. Manisha Agarwal with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says even if a space looks safe, it may still be dangerous for little ones.
Remember that just because it looks like it might be comfortable for your child doesn't mean that it's necessarily safe.
If a child falls asleep in a place not made for sleep, transfer them to a safe surface. Make sure that space is bare with nothing but a fitted sheet. The price of Ozempic and Wegovy took focus at a Capitol Hill hearing today. The debate underscoring the cost of obesity in America and the complexities of the U.S. healthcare system. Karen Kafa has details from Washington.
The CEO of the pharmaceutical company that makes Ozempic and Wegovy in the hot seat before a Senate panel Tuesday.
We don't decide the price for patients. That's set by by the insurance companies. We heard from everybody in the world, and everyone blames everybody else.
Novo Nordisk Chief Executive Lars Jorgensen before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, chaired by Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who wants to know why the diabetes and obesity drugs cost more in the U.S. than in other countries.
It is a profound moral issue.
As an example, Sanders says Americans pay $969 a month for Ozempic, compared to $155 in Canada and $59 in Germany. Jorgensen said drug prices go beyond just his company's control.
It is clear that patients too often struggle to navigate the complex U.S. healthcare system.
Jorgensen also said time spent on drug development costs money. The committee's top Republican, Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, a medical doctor, says that commitment requires a profit incentive.
We have to also examine how do we preserve that incentive for the innovation. That is the tension. How do we preserve? Because, by the way, if we stop developing new drugs, Alzheimer's won't be cured. Cancer won't be cured.
Jorgensen said his company will work with the committee on potential policy solutions that could help lower the drugs costs. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Coming up, the U.S. braces for Tropical Storm Helen as it strengthens overnight.
And President Biden delivers a presidential speech at the UN for the last time.
It's going to be a rainy week here in Athens, but how those temperatures are finally going to be feeling fall-like next on Newswatch.
Understanding the past gives a sense of the future. This is the first time that anyone has seen this in 2,000 years.
This is amazing.
Well, I'm excited now.
Pompeii is a battle against time.
You think I'm joking, but look at this. It did really happen.
Don't let anybody tell you who you are.
History teaches us to honor the past.
When you look back, you're like, wow, that was pretty special.
This is something that's actually altering the course of history.
You're charged with keeping these stories alive.
Presidential race.
In this historic election,
this is for Donald Trump a chance to go out the winner he must be.
Kamala Harris demands respect. If it's not given to her, she demands it.
The moments that shaped their lives.
This woman who's pushed through everything that would tell her no.
He just was able to connect with people in a way that the typical politicians could not.
It's about the country that you want.
The choice could not be more stark.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Tropical Storm Helene is currently swirling through the northwestern Caribbean Sea and will be set off on a breakneck pace of strengthening in the hours ahead.
Mandatory evacuations are now underway in at least 7 Florida counties as the storm threatens to hit. It's expected to be the strongest storm to make landfall in the United States in over a year.
Helene is expected to rapidly intensify over warm Gulf waters, on track to make landfall on Florida's northern Gulf Coast late Thursday, possibly as a Category 3 hurricane. Florida's Emergency Management Executive Director says the winds will encompass the state's entire western coastline.
Get those preparations done today. Make sure your entire family knows that disaster plan and what they should do.
The Tampa to Big Bend area was hit hard last summer by Hurricane Idalia, which roared ashore as a Category 3 in late August with record-breaking storm surge and devastating property damage. And now we've got Isabel Isco with more on that storm.
You know, that is going to be hitting the Florida West Coast. I have it up here just how it is going to be impacting us. We will be getting that rain from it this weekend. It's not going to be impacting us too intensely as that tropical storm, but they're going to be having some pretty severe weather happening in Florida. I'm very hopefully that it will be cooling down just a little bit, hopefully not making it to that Cat 3, but it is going to be a pretty severe storm for parts of Florida. Just with that pulled up currently, you can see that the hurricane, that tropical storm currently, that storm path, it is making its way towards the East Coast. Right now that cone isn't showing us hitting Ohio, but there is a very high chance of it kind of moving its path and making its way towards us in southeast Ohio, just giving us some of that rain, some of that warming, but not too much of those intense wind chances. Today, this thunderstorm, the thunderstorm general storm area, it is let me slow down there for a second. It is going more south. You can see all of southeast of Ohio is in that marginal storm risk. We do have that little bit of a chance for some thunderstorms later in the day. More parts of the Cincinnati area are going to be seeing that severe thunderstorm watch just until that 7 p.m. hour. Currently 72 degrees, those clear skies. You can see that humidity is pretty high, 74% out there currently. That is just going to increase as the night goes on. We have those sunny skies out there currently, but those are going to be taken over by some of that rain as we head into later into the night. Tonight, 80% chance of showers, that overnight low of 62. Once we reach tomorrow, we still have that consistent chance of showers, but the thunderstorms aren't going to be hitting us as hard. This is just going to be some marginal storm risk. So we're not going to be seeing as much lightning, as much intense wind, but we are going to have that consistent chance of some rain, but mostly in our morning for tomorrow. 12 hours ahead, our early morning tomorrow, you can see that low pressure system making its way more north, that cold front making its way through, giving us that rain, going to be clearing us out just a little bit with that high pressure system following behind it. But once we get a little bit of that clearing more towards our Thursday, we're seeing the effects of our tropical storm starting to make its way up. 24 hours ahead, still hitting us, not going to be as much rain in our Wednesday night as we're seeing in our Wednesday morning. For tomorrow, that temperature high of 80, 70% chance of showers. You're going to need that umbrella for your morning commute. We're having the highest chance of rain in about that 7 a.m. hour. That temperature low for tomorrow night, 62. Pretty consistent with today with those same temperatures. And then once we hit our Thursday, seeing that low pressure system kind of sitting over Ohio, continuing that chance of some storms, and we're seeing that red starting to move its way up. That's that intense, those hurricane force winds and that hurricane force rain making its way up. You'll see on our 7-day outlook, it is just consistent chances of showers until next Tuesday. We're having those temperatures stay pretty consistent in those 80s to low 80s. Then once we hit Monday, 78 and 74 as our highs. So those chances of showers, once we hit our Friday, Saturday, that warm up is from some of those Florida heat, a little bit of those higher low temperatures. And then once we hit Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that cooling, more of that cold front from the north, going to be continuing this chance of showers, but it is going to be cooling, and hopefully we're seeing currently out in that forecast that those temperatures can finally be making it back into those fall-like, finally feeling more fall-like once we reach later into next week. But currently for this 7-day, you're going to want to have that umbrella with you throughout this week. Make sure you're sticking back with us just to see how much you're going to need it for this upcoming weekend. And I'll be taking it back over to Ty.
Thanks, Isabel. Several House lawmakers say they will leave Washington after the government funding vote tomorrow, 2 days earlier than planned. The short-term funding bill is expected to pass. Lawmakers are leaving early in part because of the concerns about the looming storm threatening Florida and its impact on traveling. Tropical Storm Helene formed in the northwestern Caribbean Sea Tuesday morning. It could become a Category 3 major hurricane. The House canceled votes for Thursday and Friday. World leaders are in New York City for the 79th United Nations General Assembly, where President Joe Biden delivered remarks for his fourth and final time as president. Brian Abel reports from Washington.
In the final address of his presidency to the United Nations General Assembly, President Joe Biden starkly laying out the challenges facing the world.
War, hunger, terrorism, brutality. I know many look at the world today and see difficulties and react with despair, but I do not.
The president opening his speech by recounting the global crisis he witnessed upon entering public office more than 50 years ago, citing the end of the war in Vietnam as proof reconciliation is possible.
Even from the horrors of war, there's a way forward.
The message coming amid an escalating crisis in the Middle East. Israel and Hezbollah trading increasingly devastating strikes across Lebanon's border. And U.S. efforts to broker a ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas in Gaza are at an impasse.
Full-scale war is not in anyone's interest. Even if the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible.
Biden also calling on the assembly to stand against Russia and continue aiding embattled Ukraine.
We cannot grow weary. We cannot look away. And we will not let up on our support for Ukraine.
Burnishing both global U.S. leadership and his own legacy, Biden also using his speech to herald the virtues of democracy by detailing his own decision to pass the torch.
My fellow leaders, let us never forget, some things are more important than staying in power. It's your people that matter the most.
In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
Next in sports, Ohio football is getting ready for homecoming weekend and conference play. Plus, Athens and Marietta are meeting in a major high school volleyball match.
On American Experience, an actor who loved to play the hero.
I am not frightened by what lies ahead, and I don't believe the American people are frightened by what lies ahead.
A president who wanted to rescue America.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan on American Experience.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Most Americans have no idea they are not voting for the candidate they think they're voting for. Rather, they are voting for a slate of electors.
My role as an elector is to cast my electoral vote for Donald Trump if he wins the state of Colorado.
If Biden wins, then I will be one of the official electors.
I don't think I'm someone that you would think of when you think of an elector. I'm hoping this changes my destiny. Maybe I'll meet a Kardashian or a West.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
This is the PBS Video app. Install it on your phone, tablet, smart TV, or other streaming device, and use it to access more of the PBS shows you love. But if you're looking for even more shows to binge like this, or early access to shows like this, then look for this icon. That's the PBS Passport icon, and it means that video is part of PBS Passport. Passport is our way of saying thank you to our station members. Donate to your local PBS station today, and one of the member benefits you'll receive is PBS Passport, which offers extended access to a growing library of new and favorite PBS programs. You can support your station and your community by becoming a member today. Visit pbs.org/getpassport for details. Watch PBS Passport anytime on any screen, wherever you stream. It's your ticket to the best of PBS.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Andrew Bowlby. A massive high school volleyball match between Athens and Marietta is already underway this evening. The Tigers and Bulldogs began play just over 30 minutes ago in Marietta. The two teams have combined 27-3 record this season, and history isn't on the side of Athens in this head-to-head. They lost both matchups. The two played last year, one coming in the season opener and the other coming mid-season. Marietta swept both contests, winning all 6 sets. With the regular season coming to a close in less than 3 weeks, this is an opportunity for both the Bulldogs and Tigers to earn a statement win against another powerhouse. Athens will need to limit the damage Ariana Buckley does, as she leads or is at the top of many stat categories for Marietta. There are also a few other games going on in the TVC Ohio tonight, with Meigs and Wellston already underway in Pomeroy. Nelsonville York also taking on River Valley at the top of the hour, only trailing Athens by 1 game at the top of the conference. And finally, Vinton County is in Albany tonight facing Alexander. With Ohio football's non-conference schedule in the books, the Bobcats have begun preparation for Mid-American Conference play. Ohio will kick off its conference slate this week with homecoming against Akron. The Bobcats have fared well over the past 2 seasons against the MAC, winning 13 of 16 matchups. Despite the 2-2 start, head coach Tim Albin knows the conference play is a fresh start for Ohio, and they are focused on fixing the things and playing with a mindset that allows them to take the next step.
That approach gets us to the next day, to the next journey, the next step in the journey, and the next rung on the ladder. And so we're going to stick to that. But I know our guys are hurting from the game, but we're going to correct the things that we got to fix and forge ahead.
After Ohio gets through Akron this week, they won't play again in Athens until late October against Buffalo. Once the calendar turns to November, Ohio begins match-in play with midweek matchups against Kent State, Eastern Michigan, and Toledo. Ohio's homecoming matchup is this Saturday at 3:30 p.m. at Peden Stadium. Back to you, Lucy.
Still ahead, it's finally fall and this festival is already celebrating.
Drive it, donate it, and support something you use every day.
No cameras, no witnesses.
That was convenient.
I'd love you to tell me.
4 simple questions.
You? What? Why? And where?
You're loving this, aren't you?
Yes. The stakes have been raised.
Any other theories?
Definitely. I might give it a think.
That's gothic.
Sunday on WOUB.
It's absolute chaos. It's a war zone. This situation has been brought about by the fire, by the flood.
It's going to transform the whole place.
Oh, that is crazy.
Have you got a visual of him?
These intruders are walking straight into trouble. Another pride will kill those cubs.
It looks like there's only 5 cubs.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
Our world is transforming before our very eyes, and we need to be ready. So join me in the lab and in the field to discover the latest science about our changing weather and climate and how a better future is within reach. Join me for Weathered.
In Indiana, the 48th annual Napanee Apple Festival is in full swing. This huge event is home to the state's largest apple pie. The iconic dessert weighs 600 pounds, is 7 feet wide, and took a team of people hours to assemble. The chief pie baker says the apple pie will be able to feed over 1,000 people. She expects the massive dessert to be gone by Saturday. The festival wraps up on Sunday. All right, so how much of that apple pie do you guys think that you could eat?
I would say I could maybe eat like one normal sized pie, but I don't think any more than that. What about you guys?
I'd say if I'm like empty stomach, I'd probably get through about maybe 1 or 2 pies total.
What about you, Isabel?
2 entire pies? I'm thinking like maybe a couple slices. I'm also not the biggest like pie person. I enjoy more of like pumpkin roll this time of year. I love fall pumpkin roll, a little pumpkin cookie. How about you?
Me too. I'm a big pumpkin pie fan. What about you guys?
If it was a pumpkin pie, I could definitely eat more. Apple pie, maybe not as much.
Yeah.
Well, I could definitely eat more of that pumpkin pie than apple pie, but let's take a look at final weather. We still have that thunderstorm watch out there for parts of Cincinnati. That goes until 7 p.m. Tonight, that overnight low of 62, the 80% chance of showers, that is going to be impacting us looking like around the 8 o'clock hour until later in the night. So if you have any nighttime plans, bring that umbrella with you. It might be clear right now, but you're going to be needing it later. You can see how it's coming up for us just about at that 8 o'clock hour. We'll start seeing some peaks of some rain in there. Our 7-day outlook, unfortunately, looks a lot like similar today. Very, very rainy. These temperatures are going to be consistently in those mid to low 80s. And then once we reach next week around this time, we're going to be having those temperatures finally start to cool down just a little bit. So then we could start feeling a little bit more fall here in Southeast Ohio.
That does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Andrew Bowlby and Isabel Isco, I'm Ty Carpenter.
And I'm Lucy Schaefer. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.